The last episode geared us up for Prince Jacaerys Velaryon to have big character moments after being neglected for a while. We had this Targaryen in the north and no notable scenes came from it. I thought it was all over for Jace in the series after that fumble, but episode 5 gave him a nice little role to play at House Freys' crossing and then one-upping it immediately with a big plot to have an audition of sorts to claim the two most desirable dragons still left vacant. The negotiations with Sabitha and Forest Frey was not in the books, but the conversation with his mother, Queen Rhaenyra, about finding riders is straight out of the lore. Jace sneaking off to the Riverlands was a decent addition, but could have definitely went further. Lord Forest Frey has the nickname of Fool Frey after his first interaction with Rhaenyra in his youth. He foolishly got the balls to ask for Rhaenyra's hand, a betrothal that would eventually make him king consort of the Seven Kingdoms, not realizing his place in the nobility ladder. Most houses look down upon the Freys despite their wealth. They're seen as upstarts who gained everything they had by simply tolling passerbys using their bridge to cross between the north and the Riverlands. Sabitha, a lady originally from House Vibrant, doesn't hail from one of the more notable riverlords. The books describe her as the merciless and grasping lady of the twins. Sharp-featured, sharp-tongued, who would sooner ride than dance, wore mail instead of silk, and was fond of killing men and kissing women. Unfortunately for Fool Frey, he stays losing in this era. This couple have grown brazen like some of the other riverlords thanks to bedridden Lord Grover Tully, who's too old to do much of anything. Without a strong liege lord telling them which faction of the Civil War to side with, these families have started acting like great houses, talking to Targaryens like they're almost equal. Jace even indulged these two when they requested the rights to Harrenhal, just for letting the Northerners cross their bridge. This victory for the Blacks got Jace feeling like he could give some dragon lessons to Rhaenyra. Surprised she didn't give him a sassy remark at the reminder that the dragons Vermithor and Silverwing lair on their island, with how intelligent she's supposed to be. House Targaryen had ruled Dragonstone for more than 200 years, since Lord Aenar Targaryen first arrived from Valyria with his dragons. Though it had always been their custom to wed brother to sister and cousin to cousin, young blood runs high. And it was not unknown for men of the house to seek their pleasures amongst the daughters, even the wives of their subjects. The small folk who lived in the villages below the Dragonmount, tillers of the land and fishers of the sea. Indeed, until the reign of King Jacaerys, the ancient right to the first night had been invoked, mayhaps more oft on Dragonstone than anywhere else in the Seven Kingdoms. The good Queen Alysanne would surely have been shocked to hear it. Though the first night was greatly resented elsewhere, as Queen Alysanne had learned in her women's councils, such feelings were muted upon Dragonstone, where Targaryens were rightly regarded as being closer to gods than the common run of men. Here, brides thus blessed upon their wedding nights were envied, and the children born of such unions were esteemed above all others, for the lords of Dragonstone oft celebrated the birth of such with lavish gifts of gold and silk and land to the mother. These happy bastards were said to have been born of dragon seed, and in time simply known as seeds. Even after the end of the rite of the first night, certain Targaryens continued to daily with the daughters of the innkeeps and wives of fishermen, so seeds and the sons of seeds were plentiful on Dragonstone. It was to them that Prince Jacaerys turned. In the 5th episode, Jace says to Rhaenyra that they have no dearth of dragons, and they sleep beneath their feet. We learn that Rhaena attempted to bond with one of the two big dragons in the show, but almost died in the attempt. She likely went for the bigger of the two, Vermithor, to impress her father demon. Silverwing is a tad bit smaller, less battle experienced, and more docile. Dragons seem to take after their masters. Silverwing's former rider, the good Queen Alysanne, was kinder than her husband who rode Vermithor. Jace doesn't mention the 3 wild dragons, who are very different than Vermithor and Silverwing, because that's just a task too big with someone of thin dragon blood. If a dragon has never known a rider, they're more difficult to tame. Just handing one of these deadly weapons to anyone who's willing to tame a dragon has never been done by the Targaryens. They actually are very possessive of their dragons and their eggs, because that's what keeps them in power. Regular circumstances would prohibit Jace and his bastard brothers being anywhere near an egg. Jace, with Rhaenyra's blessing, is willing to give a successful auditioner even more, vowing that any man who can master a dragon would be granted lands and riches and dubbed a knight. His sons would be ennobled, his daughters wed to lords, and he himself would have the honor of fighting beside the Prince of Dragonstone against the pretender Aegon II and his treasonous supporters. We've got some hints here and there so far in the 2nd season as to who might carry the dragon seed. No point in me spoiling who's about to step forward, but you know for sure not all who will answer the prince's call will have Targaryen ancestry. Some have been misled and lied to, or just crazy enough to risk it all for the prize of a dragon, lands, titles, and riches. Like every episode, I just want to see more characterization for each beast. Vermithor and Silverwing are a couple, like their former masters. A first, as far as we know, for these magical creatures being capable of that kind of relationship. I think it would be a nice world-building moment to expand on this in episode 6. The last 3 episodes of the season have extra long run times. Let's see what they do with it. Thanks for watching this one, guys, and I'll see y'all later.